One of the craziest positions in jiu-jitsu that is debatably so overpowered and so overlooked is the Gubber guard. This position takes a guard that's already incredibly strong, like closed guard, and just basically gives a bear a rocket launcher. Especially when you guys think about blue belts and some of the crazy and ridiculous things that they do. In this video, guys, you're gonna learn the guard that can literally control somebody better than anybody else, okay? That doesn't even quite make sense, just like some parts of this video. But I will tell you guys, after you watch this video, you're not only gonna be slightly confused, but you're also gonna have curiosity built in lapel guard. So real quick, before we actually get to the Gubber guard, we need to understand that every guard in jiu-jitsu is literally unpassable until you actually break the guard. So if I'm playing spider guard, they gotta get the feet off the biceps. If I'm playing like single X, they have to be able to break the guard, get the feet up the hips, deal with the grips before they can actually pass. What's crazy about closed guard is that my feet are behind Doi right now. So this is a very difficult guard to pass. If I take this a progression further here, if you notice with the overhook from closed guard, this is like two guards wrapped up in one. This is literally like fighting a bear. It's not gonna go good unless you're like from actual Dagestan, because he actually has to escape his arm before he can even start thinking about dealing with my actual closed guard. Where the Gubber guard comes into play is that I actually have the lapel fed behind my partner's back here. And I have something very similar to an overhook. But how we're actually in the Gubber guard position is that my knee is gonna be behind his shoulder. My foot is actually gonna be in the lapel. Now, one thing that you'll see some people do is that their knee's gonna be outside their arm. This is gonna put unneeded tension on your actual knee. So you're gonna want your elbow on the outside of your leg. So if my leg is between Doi and my elbow, this is structurally a very, 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 very strong position here. So if Doi tries to posture up, he's gonna have a very difficult time doing so. If he even tries to like pass my leg between his legs, he's gonna have a very difficult time doing so and giving me more opportunities for different things like the Omoplata or even setting up triangles. So what we're gonna do in this video is we're actually gonna focus on two submissions from here. What's crazy about this is that there are sweeps from Gubber guard, but the majority of the things that you're gonna find from the Gubber guard position are actual submissions that are either going to break your partner's shoulder, their elbow, or even put them to sleep, which Doi loves to do, okay? The going to sleep part. But when I'm actually in this position here, what we're gonna go over first is the actual triangle. What's crazy about this is that the concepts of the actual triangle from the Gubber guard are very similar to the overhook from closed guard when you go for the triangle. The biggest obviously difference though is that I have my foot in the lapel, my arms behind his back, and I have good control over his shoulder here. So what I'm gonna look to do is I'm gonna look to get control over Doi's wrist, whether it's for whatever reason resting on the ground like a blue belt does sometimes, or it's by my belt or wherever it is. I'm gonna get control over his wrist. Staying super tight, I'm gonna push his wrist and I'm gonna escape my knee. Once I escape my knee here, it is almost checkmate in this position here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna lift up on the gi. Notice how when I do this, my arm stays outside my knee, staying tight. I lift up and I take my foot to his bicep. This is very important. You'll see some people just throw the leg over. You can have success with this, but we approach jiu-jitsu as like a game of probability. So if you want a better chance of this working and them not escaping, we like to bring our foot to the bicep and I'm gonna pinch my knee towards his head. Now, sometimes if they're defending, the actual forehead is gonna go to my knee, which is not a big deal. What I wanna make sure though is that when I bring my leg around his neck, the back of my knee really connects and bites his neck. This is the important detail when it comes to putting your partner to sleep as fast as possible. Notice I did not talk about actually tapping Doi. We wanna put him to sleep. We want to like, at least to get him to the door of meeting Jesus type of deal. So as I'm here, look how when I bring my leg around, I kick past and I bring the back of my knee to his neck. Now where this gets a little different is I'm not gonna completely abandon the lapel, but I am gonna take the lapel and I'm gonna wrap it on the outside of my triangling leg, the one that's choking him. I take my left foot out, but I keep pinching with my left leg here, and I'm gonna pull this lapel all the way through. If you notice here, this is very similar to me controlling my shin, but instead I have a better grip, which is with the lapel pulling behind his armpit here. My left foot is gonna stay to his hip, And my right hand is actually going to control the lapel, but I'm going to feed as much of the lapel as I can here. Then we're going to adjust, make sure the back of my knee is connected to his neck. And if you notice here, guys, especially if you have like a really strong, cool redhead, like Ed, like Doi here, you're going to notice that like as the choke's working, you're going to start seeing that his hairline is going to blend with his actual skin because that means it's choking, right? So as I control here, we lock up the triangle. And as I do this, I could slide my forearm slightly into the neck. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a slight squeeze to start putting him to sleep. I would encourage you guys when you're drilling this, ask your partner to tap right when the submission starts. This has nothing to do with Doi's safety. This is everything to do with me learning when the choke starts. When the choke starts, I just have to keep it because then they're going to go to sleep. They do not have to tap. So again, we'll do this one more time real quick and you guys can go back through this. We have our closed guard, okay? I get my foot into the lapel. Notice how my knee is on the outside. I want to bring it to the inside between my elbow and his back. I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to find Doi's wrist. I'm going to lift him up with the lapel, not just straight up, but kind of extend, keeping this tension. Once my knee escapes here, we're basically a done deal. So now I bring my knee to my chest. My foot goes to his forearm here. I'm going to pinch my knee towards his head. And then while I keep this connection, I kick my leg through. And I like to feel the back of my knee to his neck. The whole time, my knee is putting tension on the shoulder. I take the lapel, keeping tension, exchange my legs here. My right hand lets go. I grab a thumb up grip, thumb towards me, into the lapel here. And I can just use my legs to help him go up. And you can tell in this position here, we're already almost choking here. And then you guys can get the tap. If you want to make this tighter, you ready? Okay, he's ready. Then all I'm going to do is lock up the triangle. You guys can lift this elbow up a little higher to bring the shoulder into the neck to then get the tap. Okay, so now the other option that we have is the Omoplata. Now, you can go straight to the Omoplata, but generally my order of operations is I look for the triangle. But if they're like really controlling my leg really well, then this is when I start looking for the Omoplata. So what I like to do from here is I'm going to frame Doi's head away while my knee is still pinching behind his rotator cuff here. So I frame and I pinch. What I'm going to do now is I don't necessarily just bring my leg automatically over. There will be times as I do this, as I take my foot out, I'm going to pull the lapel super tight. But I actually take my heel and I hook the far shoulder here like this. Okay? Now this will be slightly different than what some people do, but this is what I've found. I can control people really well from here. Once I know I have this, there are generally two things that I'll do. I'll feed the lapel to my right hand, then I'll feed it again to my left hand so I have it closer to his armpit. Once I have this grip here, I'm going to sit up to my elbow, but look how I bring my chest towards his actual shoulder. I take my foot, now I bring it on the other side of his head, curling my heel down tight. Now, when I transition to start actually looking for the Omoplata, then I want to make sure that I stay super tight. Now, you could potentially here rotate your hips up and attack this Omoplata, kind of like a Kimura, but I found like really athletic guys can follow you. So what I like to do from here is I stay super tight, crunch, 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 but look how I keep this tension with the actual lapel the whole time. So I'll grip again right here. And look how I'm staying super tight here. I'm crunching forward, keeping this arm stuck here like this. I'm curling my heel down. Now, when I do this here, I'll settle my hips away, and then we'll look to lift to finish. When it comes to the actual finish here, I'm actually going to take my hand. I'm going to go under. You can grab cross lapel. You can lock your hands up. But I'm going to try to take both of my knees and bring them to the mat, keeping my chest super tight. When you guys do this, you have to understand that this is going to be extremely tight and the submission can come on really fast, so go slow. Your knees should not make it to the ground. So as I say tight here, I crunch and I look to bring my knees towards the mat. Look how my knees didn't get anywhere close. If you go too fast, you will injure your training partner, so please be careful. Guys, if you want to take your lapel guard game to the next level, you need to join a team. But this team isn't a local gym. What it is, it's called the Lapel Guard Syndicate. So make sure you guys check out the links down below. What you're gonna find is a school group that is called the Lapel Guard Syndicate that's gonna give you literally a group of people that love jiu-jitsu, that want to get better, but love, love, love the lapel guard. You guys are gonna be able to review each other's film, get help from me, and you'll have access to my complete lapel zombie system. You jerk.